Hey everybody, it's me, Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is the 200th episode of Commander's Brew.
200.
Hey everyone, welcome back. It's episode 200, the proper, real 200th episode of Commander's Brew. Welcome. It's been a long haul.
Hands up if you've been here since about episode 150. Cool. I've seen a lot of hands.
Good.
Thank you
for being here. Thank you.
Hands up if you've been here since 100.
That's 100 episodes. That's a lot.
That's a lot. Thank you very much. Hands up if you've been here since 50.
Less people, but
less people, but still some. Some.
Definitely some.
Okay, we're gonna get close. Hands up if you're under 10. If you've been here since under 10.
You caught on early, but not right away. Yeah.
And then hands up if you've been here since since one. Who's heard every episode of Commander's Brew? You're the real MVPs.
I mean, honestly, everyone who listens is the real MVP. But you're right. Even the real MVPs are also the people who are listening since episode 1. That's wild to think that there is anyone out there who's listened to 200 episodes of us talking about Magic.
Wow.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And a couple episodes of Butler talking about Magic, and Alistair, and Zach, and
Ryan, Johnny Kras talking about Commander Cube. Yeah, so like a lot of those guests are very recent guests, but yes.
One thing I will say before we get going is, Sean, you've been here for every single one of them. You've never missed one.
Is that true?
I've never recorded the show without you, so it must be true.
Whoa.
You've recorded it without me a bunch of times, but I've never had a guest host and just me and that person doing it.
I can't say no. I can't say no to doing something.
No, you just love it. I mean, I do too, but hey, great.
Oh my goodness. And it has flown by, like, for sure. Like, I remember, like, when we crossed into 190, it's like, ooh. Or even when we were like at like 175, I was like, 200 is not that far away. We should probably start thinking about it. Okay, but just doing more episodes, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, 200 is about to happen. And you know what else is about to happen at the exact same time? Baby Harry's born.
Baby Harry is born, and he's here. He's actually not in the room right now. His mother has him in his room, but he is alive and well. And I posted on Twitter. If you guys are everyone's paying attention there, you would have seen a picture. Maybe I'll pop one up here for the YouTube viewers. But I've got a kid now. I'm #MTG dad.
So like episodes 199 and before are Commander's Brew PH. And then episodes 200 and above are PH, but the P's stand for different things.
Yeah, one's PHHH and the other is PHHH.
Right. It's important to note that one means pre and post birth of Triple H.
Yeah. Yeah. So people might be wondering why he's Triple H. It's because his name is Harry Hillier Hall.
Yeah.
So he's Triple H, and it's time to play the game.
The
cerebral assassin, the king.
I hope. I mean, this is the kind of thing that's so hard not to try to like suggest, but imagine how cool your initial signature could be if it was 3 H's. Like, you just make like 6 bars one way and 1 bar across somehow. Like, that's a cool thing.
Yeah, that's how he'll initial stuff.
Yeah.
He'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just strike it out. And they'll be like, sir, why did you cross out all these L's you wrote? Like, my name's Triple H.
Did you count to 5 or 6, but then forgot that you did 6?
Are you in jail and counted to 7? Or like on an island and this is a tree?
Yeah. No, because when Lil Harry's grown up, there will be no more pens and signing. It'll all be brain to brain signatures.
I thought you were gonna say there's gonna be no more pens for signing. It's all gonna be marks in trees.
Oh,
So
you gonna go like off the grid?
Every contract it now just has a tree beside it. Put your mark in this tree.
You can tell how old they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Neat.
Anyways.
So thank you to everybody who's been listening. If this is your first episode, you are in for a treat. We're going to have some fun this episode. It's going to be a little out of character from our typical episodes. But even if you've been back from episode 150, 100, or 1, man, we cannot thank you enough. Like, this is why we do this, because you're listening. And I have to say, even just little tweets, right? Like we got a tweet today of just like being like, hey, love what you do. And I'm like, oh, these tweets feel so nice. It feels so nice. Yeah, it's nice to know that, I mean, is this cheesy to say? It's nice to know people like what we're doing, and it's very motivating to like keep it up.
That's what I wrote back to WC Power 9. I said, this is super nice, and thank you so much. It really does mean a lot to hear this once in a while. And it's true. We're real people. We're real people making this show, and you are a real person listening. And if you ever want to say you like it, then it just makes us feel good. So it's very nice to see it, especially here the day we're recording 200. And we've got the commander community and the people listening have always been amazing. So it doesn't surprise me that. We get nice things like that once in a while. It's nice.
And when our listeners do bits with us, like when we start a bit and then the listeners like kind of like also join in on the bit, I was like, yes, more bits.
Yeah, more bits. Yeah, we
love
bits.
the bits.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening, of course. And we mention it every time, but we do have a Patreon, patreon.com. /Commander's Brew. That's a way to support the show financially if you want to like help us upgrade some tech, some gear, be able to do more stuff that way. That is a fantastic thing to do as well. To go as far as to not only donate your time by listening, to donate some money. That is like such a wonderful thing. And thank you to Ultimate Guard, one of our sponsors, for the sleeves and boxes. Love those sleeves and boxes. And of course, like I forget which episode they became our sponsors, but the Wizard Tower, wizardtower.com, they've been a sponsor for a long time. We've been doing humorous ads for quite some time, and maybe it's time to hear another one now. Hello. This is the part of the ad where usually I would invent a crazy character who's probably living in the current plane and have them complain about something hilarious. The hook is that Andy would come back and try to pretend he knows what's about it. It's a fun game we play, but I'm going to prank him this time. This isn't about anything. I mean, of course, it's about, the Wizard's Tower, wizardtower.com. It's about how they're a great place to buy Magic singles. That's still true. You still can use coupon code War of the Brews, get an extra 5% off. And it's still true that they'll ship singles anywhere in Canada for free if you order $15 or more worth of singles. And you get 3% kickback on your next order. That's all true. But what's not true is that there's no plot to this ad. There's no character or a gimmick. So, I can't wait to find out what Andy wants to talk about when he pretends he knows all about it when he comes back. Should be fun.
Yes. It's 200 episodes, and it doesn't surprise me to hear that at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, it doesn't surprise me. That's what I figured,
I thought this was a good idea. I honestly thought.
Pretty typical, kind of,
Typical?
Yeah, it's pretty typical.
Oh, I'm hurt, Andy.
Hey, man, I'm I'm just calling it like I see it,
Wow, you are ruthless.
Oh yeah, no, I am. I don't take no guff off no one, and
but like
and that's how I feel about it. I feel like, run of the mill. Obviously, you know what I mean? And I roll my eyes at that.
But you gotta give me at least like a couple seconds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do I?
Well, you tell me. Did I get at least a couple seconds there? Or or
Did you get a couple seconds? No.
not even.
Not
I
even
should
a
have
couple
waited
seconds.
till like
Should have waited.
2:04, something like that.
Yeah, I'd say later in the show, a bit better.
Okay. Well, you're a tough person to prank. I thought by not doing an ad about anything, yeah, I would have you talking about something, but
No, no.
you
I
are unimpressed by this typical prank.
Yeah.
tried to have a meaningless ad to confuse, like an ad with no actual discussable content beyond the sponsor details, but you had none of it. I didn't get you for 1 second.
Not even for a second. Not even for a second. I knew 100% of the time. You've gone mad if you think you're going to prank me. It's typical that you would try something like that, and I'm not impressed by it at all. I roll my eyes at it, as I said earlier. I stand by that 100%. Yeah. So good try.
Okay.
But
okay.
you can't prank the prankster.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess my lessons learned.
Lessons definitely learned here. Okay, so let's I think we're just gonna roll all this into one big episode, hey? Like for
Sure.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what people can expect a little bit. So we're going to talk about the show, but we're also going to talk a little bit about, we're going to talk about Commander here. We're not going to be doing a regular deck tech like normal, but we are still going to be talking about Magic the Gathering. We're going to be talking about some cards and stuff like that and what we've been up to, as well as the actual show in of itself, and some of the stuff we used to do on the show, and maybe even something that's coming up. Who knows? So, I mean, Sean, what after 200 episodes, okay, so I wanted to say one thing. We had a different idea for the show at first.
Oh, yes.
We had a very different idea for the show. We were going to go through every single surprise and discovery and talk about them. And then we were like, that's like a lot of cards. It's going to take a long, long, long time. So we bailed on that idea.
Yes.
But, we still got to look back at a lot of cards because we both kind of scoured the archives, as it were.
It's true.
And I scoured the earlier archives, the first 100. You scoured the next 100.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head, after looking at that, I know you don't have anything in front of you right now about this specific thing that we did.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll buy you a little time. But,
okay.
Because I looked back at those early days of us doing, and we weren't even sure that we were doing surprises and discoveries when we first started the show, and we were like right from day one. That was a segment on the show.
That was a day one segment.
Yeah. For me, the one that stood out as we were calling it a surprise, we were calling it a discovery. No one had heard about this card. I mean, obviously some people had, but like no one in the greater kind of community was really talking too much about this card or anything. The one that stood out for me was, in my research, was Reconnaissance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were on that real early.
Yeah, like, I mean, to an extent, right? It's an old card. It's from like Exodus or whatever. But yes, I know what you mean, though. Like, that card eventually would spike, I think, in response to some new commander being printed. I can't remember exactly. But it's the one white enchantment that has, you pay 0, you remove a target attacking creature that you control from combat and untap it. So there's all kinds of crazy shenanigans, as you probably all well know at this point, with doing that at end of combat, so you can still like do anything you want. Like you can remove it if it gets blocked so it won't die. You're basically giving everything pseudo vigilance and nothing's going to die as a part of combat. So.
Yeah, you'll untap everything after the damage step but before combat ends. So like everything basically does have vigilance, as well as nothing can be surprised in combat. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I attribute it, Spike, just to like the general Commander community. Like in 200 episodes, the Commander community has grown a ton. Mm-hmm. Like cards are spiking more. New Commanders are moving prices more than they ever did. And I believe that the spike in Reconnaissance just became a move of people just the average CMC of decks, people are all the decks are getting a little bit more competitive as time goes on, right? The average CMC of decks, I feel like people are always trying to cut them lower, and a 1 mana enchantment that has profound effect on the game is going to be valuable.
Yeah, it's up to like $9 now, and I think at
Whoa.
the time it was less than $2.
Oh, it was gumballs when we were using it.
Yeah. Is there anything that in your searches stood out to you that still kind of is in your memory as something that, hey, this is something and maybe since yours was a little less, yours is more recent, is there anything that like you think might become this or something like that? Is there anything
that might become this? That's a tough one.
Is there anything that's just stood out in general though? Like,
I always was like interested, like one that kind of got my idea was that like we did a series on Dollar Commander, and we found that Guile, the card Guile, the surprise was that it was under $1, and at the time of my scouring back on Surprises and Discoveries, it's still 2 gumballs, it's still 50 cents. I'm like, that's a very powerful card. I don't think that's going to go up a lot because it's expensive, and I think that's a card that costs this much will never be like $20. I'm not, like Grizzlebrand is, but that's also banned. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like this card isn't good enough for its mana cost.
No. Guile's 3 and 3 blue, 6/6. It's weird. It has like super menace. It's 3 creatures instead of 2.
Yeah.
And it says that basically like if you counter something, you get control of it instead. And if it gets put into the graveyard, you shuffle it into its owner's library. This card's wild. I remember this because this is in my Afara deck. There's lots of counter spells, so you just get all the stuff if you have Guile out.
Yes.
Guile, let me tell you something about Guile. It gets killed very quickly. People don't like you to have this card out. That's for sure.
Yeah. Maybe that's why.
But it's a cool card, though. It's neat. Yeah, all right. That was what the show was originally going to be, and instead we kind of morphed it into just a bunch of different stuff that we wanted to sort of touch on. So here.
Andy, can I talk about a segment that we used to do for a little while? We tried to find like games to do, like little games to play.
Yeah.
We could never really find a good game that was fun to play live on air, or anything that was like just the right kind of move. But then we started roasting cards for a little while.
Or one that we could agree on the rules.
Oh my goodness. I was thinking about that. The one I was thinking about that today, like, is it tennis rules where like you just have to get the point?
Yeah.
Or do you have to, like, oh boy.
It's like you had to win by 2 or something, right? Like, yeah, whatever.
If just because you name the category means you have to at least get one thing in it. I don't remember. I don't even remember what we were fighting about.
It was the idea of like, okay, person 1 goes 1. I'm not going to get back into it.
We're getting back into it.
I'm just going to tell you what the argument was. I'm
not
going to argue whether or not I'm right.
Okay.
But the argument was person A goes first, person B goes second in a game of category. So it's who can name, like, you're saying, types of cereal or whatever, right? So who gets to win? The last person who names it essentially wins, but not quite. So here's how it works. Person A goes Cheerios. Person B goes and says Fruit Loops. Person A goes and says Midi Wheats. And then if person B doesn't have anything, person A wins, right? Because they've named 2. Person B's named 1. But if person B instead says Count Chocula, they don't just win because now both players have named 2 things, right?
Yes.
So now it goes back to person A, and if person A can't name anything, then person B still has to name one more thing
to get ahead on named things.
Right.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even remember what side I was on this.
No, me neither. I honestly don't either. I just said that, and I was like, wait a second, is that even what I thought? I don't think it was. Anyways.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Anyways, that was a crazy episode. I remember leaving most of that argument in, but not all of it.
Oh boy.
in the edit on the show. But yeah, we were roasting cards for a while. It's kind of how we found Epic Experiment, which is one of our most notorious episodes.
Yes. We found that because we were roasting it, and they were like, what a dumb card. You'd have to do something like this. Oh, and then you'd have to do. Oh, that might work. Oh, okay.
Yeah. We just kept thinking about it, really stuck in our craw, and then after that we did the episode about it, and it turned out to be a really fun deck.
Yeah, for sure. So we're gonna try to roast a card real quick, and the card we've decided on is Blood Sun. This is the 2 in the red enchantment from what's that from? Rivals of Ixalan. When Blood Sun enters the battlefield, draw a card. All lands lose all abilities except mana abilities.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I got one.
Okay.
Hey, Blood Sun. Superman who doesn't even have his powers around you.
That's okay. Yeah, no, of course not. Because it's not a yellow sun. The yellow sun of the earth is what gives Superman his powers.
Right.
The red sun of Krypton makes him just act like a normal person.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Can you tell why this segment didn't last too long?
Well, we would write them. We wouldn't just improvise them on the air.
That's true. We would write them. We would
actually come up with them before.
Yeah. And it took a long time. Way too long.
Yeah. I guess one burn against Blood Sun is that everyone hates Blood Moon, but people don't even know that Blood Sun exists. At least they hate Blood Moon.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'd rather be hated than never known.
Hey, Blood Sun, you're a few billion times bigger than Blood Moon, but your impact is nothing close to it.
Yeah, noticeably less.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a real struggle to think of anything to say about Blood Sun because it's so terrible.
That is the ultimate burn.
Right? Like, yeah. Hey, Blood Sun, the immortal sun called. It's the better sun.
Hey, Blood Sun, Cage Sun also showed up and took your parking spot.
Shit, Blood Sun. I don't know. That's nothing. That's not even a burn or anything, but it just sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Suck on that, Blood Sun. You're garbage. You're terrible. I've never seen this card played. Have you?
No. I guess functionally it shuts off like Evolving Wilds or like fetch type of lands that don't tap for mana. But sure, it stops like lands that are utility for some reason. But like, how many? Like, you just run like a Ghost Quarter.
I know. It's like, and in Standard, it's like you run. What's it called? Field of Ruin, yeah. Right, if you want to get rid of a land. Blood Sun is just too, like, what deck wants this? I just don't understand. And it's all lands, too. It's not like, so, like, if you're even, like, a control deck or something, you've got your own, like, Ascanta or whatever, like, you're shutting off your own thing. That sucks.
Right. I guess it shuts off things like Ascanta and Standard. I don't know, man. I don't play Standard. I play Commander. And it's like the only reason I want this is to protect my own homeward path, but then I can't use my homeward path, so like, who cares?
So speaking of Standard, and in Commander actually, the deck I've been playing on Arena is the Dread Horde deck, the 4-color Dread Horde deck. The like, in my thing I named it Tamio's Dread Horde because Tamio.
Oh,
like,
yeah. You basically just fetch stuff from all the graveyards for life.
Yeah.
Command the Dread Horde.
Yes, exactly. Command the Dread Horde. It plays like a Commander deck. It's awesome. Like,
cool.
Just in that it's like this like wonky like combo thing, but it does involve a lot of like flashy cards. Like, there's a lot of Planeswalkers in it, and there's, you're gaining tons of life. Like, you often end up with like 40 life when you're beating your opponent and stuff. So I don't know. Just for Commander players out there, if you're playing on Arena and you're looking to get in the Standard, it's something to think about. It does require a ton of wild cards, though.
Oh yeah, it does it ever.
Yeah, it requires a lot of rares because you got to get all the lands, right?
Yeah.
And again, another thing, this is a Commander podcast, but like, again, if you're trying to like emulate the Commander experience online, it's tough. But there's some, so like when you do Singleton on Arena, it's similar and it's kind of fun. I found this deck to be similar. So if you're trying to get into it, use your wild cards on lands, on the fetch lands or the shock lands and stuff.
Interesting theory.
Yeah, because then you can make then you can start making any deck, really. So, anyways,
Yeah.
A little departure there, talking about a little arena, but
Oh, let's talk. So if we're on other formats, Andy, have you heard much about this Oathbreaker format? And are you at all interested in trying it out?
ooh, yes. You know what? I wanted to do an episode on Oathbreaker, and I think we should. I think we should do that because it's catching a little steam. People seem to be into it. A lot of people. I've heard a lot of people say, "Yeah, I thought it was going to be either like Tiny Leaders in that it's attractive at first, but then you kind of see it and you're like, nah, you know what? This isn't the same as Commander. Never mind." Or even something like
Brawl.
Brawl, or even Highlander, which I know is another format that people really like. But it's just not the same as Commander, right? It's got that different thing. Well, this is the thing that everyone's been saying, and sources that I trust, because I know they love playing Commander and stuff in a similar way that I do. They've been like, this is like the next closest thing to Commander, and it's close enough in that like I'd love to play them both, on the same night kind of thing, or like I'd be just as likely to play Oathbreaker. So
in case you haven't heard,
explain what it is.
Oathbreaker is, I mean, everyone compares it to Commander because it uses a command zone. But instead of making a 100-card deck, you make a 60-card deck. Mm-hmm. And instead of putting your commander, who is a legendary creature, in the command zone, you put any planeswalker in the command zone, and that is your Oathbreaker. That's what we call it instead of your commander. Let's say if you put like the new Kiora, then Kiora is your Oathbreaker. But not only do you put Kiora, for example, in your command zone, you also put one instant or sorcery and also in the command zone, and that is their signature spell, right? Like a lot of planeswalkers have like their plus and minuses, but they also have this signature spell. And the rules of Commander are similar in that everything in your deck has to match your Oathbreaker's color identity. You can't have anything that has any symbols outside of that. If you cast your Oathbreaker a second time, you have to pay 2 extra tax. The special rule about the signature spell is you can only cast it if your Oathbreaker is on the battlefield. And at that, it's the same thing. The second time you cast your signature spell, it gets 2 more expensive, and then 2 more expensive. So there's commander tax on both parts of it. And the interesting synergy there is if you put a commander with a fantastically brutal signature spell, the whole table sees it and is like, well, we're just not going to let your commander stick around because we're not going to let you cast that spell because it's too good. Like if it's Armageddon or something, there's no way anyone's going to let your Johnny stick around for you to cast it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of parts of it I'm skeptical of, but in hearing that people like it so much, I think to myself like, oh, well, they would have also been skeptical of that too. And therefore, I bet you it is actually, better. Because, like, to me, it sounds like a nightmare. I'm not that interested, honestly.
Okay.
But that's just hearing about it, and I'm not like that's my like prejudice. But I'm definitely willing to try it because I think people say like we got into Brawl, we got into Tiny Leaders when it came out.
We tried it.
I'll try anything,
The other difference that I forgot to mention is everyone starts with 20 life instead of 40.
Yeah.
So you can do a little bit of a more aggressive strategy, and this also counteracts the fact that if you're attacking planeswalkers a lot, you're not hitting life totals as much. But they're already 20, so they're already not that far from 0. And I heard it plays real fast.
Yeah.
Like games end in not that many turns. So like you kind of got to get moving.
That's interesting because that could mean it's either really good and there's aggressive decks in it that are viable, or it means like people are comboing really easily, which seems like it's less good.
I feel like comboing really easy is better if the game is a half hour. Like if a game is like an hour and a half and then someone combos in is like, ugh.
Well, what I mean is like people are comboing like early in the turn, so the game's lasting like the first 3 or 4 turns and then you just win.
Well,
like that might be true,
but
I wonder if that's the case.
It is supposedly a little bit more competitive by nature, but that's also a fact that you have less cards in the deck, so your combos happen more frequently. But they've also banned Sol Ring and all the fast mana cards, and there's a lot of extra bans that I feel the commander could also ban as well. Like I've always felt that like why not ban fast mana from regular commander?
I mean, you wanted to get into it. You want to talk about commander bans. It's something we don't really talk
Okay.
about on the show very often, but
Okay, let's
it's a
do it.
popular topic of discussion amongst commander players and other commander podcasts. So you're saying you think that they maybe should just ban Sol Ring?
Yeah, I say like I think they should ban all of those fast mana ones. Sol Ring, Grim Monolith, Mana Crypt, Mana Vault. Like it's just because like it just becomes it's. I think if you ban those, it solves two issues. It solves the issue if one person gets them and pulls out ahead, and it solves the other issue of just like they become automatic cards that you put in because you kind of have to. If my deck has 4 pieces of fast mana and yours has 1, mine is just in a category above yours from the start.
That's
so
true.
Either we all have access to that, which we don't because a lot of them are very expensive. Even Sol Ring keeps getting up, even though they reprint it to hell and back. Like it keeps going up to $2, $3, $4. So like it's I mean in competitive EDH, like they're already going blazing fast. Like that's almost like a different game anyway. So people are trying to get everything done in 1 or 2 turns. You know, I think even if you slow competitive EDH down by a turn, I think it's still interesting. There's lots of interesting decisions and points where you decide when to try to go for your combo, etc.
Right. And I know in like 1v1, like the French stuff, like that stuff is banned, right? Like Sol Ring's banned and all that stuff. So
yeah, like we rely on the multiplayer aspect to trust that like, well, if you pull out ahead and do too much, then the rest of the table will keep you down. And it's like, well, that's fine, but if like it's just so like if everyone runs 2 pieces of fast mana, someone's always going to have one of them in their opening hand almost. Like so like then it's always got to be some kind of arch enemy. Can't it all just be even and just see where it goes? I don't know.
So I think the one that really stands out to me as being the one I don't like is Mana Vault, just because it's the scarcity on it. It's pretty high, and it's because it's super expensive. That's not one that everyone has. So when you are, I think you're right. Like when you're playing a deck that has a Mana Vault in it, you're talking about, or is it Mana Vault? No, what's it called? Mana Crypt.
I think you mean Crypt.
Crypt. I am thinking of Crypt. Sorry.
Where you flip a coin.
Yeah. Now, obviously, there's a downside of the card. I'm not saying the card is like, you know, better really than any other one. Although I kind of think maybe it is. It's just like that. Now that's where the deck enters another. That's where your deck enters another tier. I think, right? Like Grim Monolith and Sol Ring, those are easy to get your hands on, and if you want to play with them, Grim Monolith ramps you for a turn, and then you have to pay mana to get it out, right? So like it's not. I don't think it's really in the same caliber. I think you're talking Sol Ring, Mana Crypt. Those are the two, right? Those are the two main suspects here, and I think just because it's so ubiquitous, like why bother banning Sol Ring? It's like. Who like everyone has it already? Who cares?
Well, I mean, so I guess I'll concede that point. If you're gonna ban all of them but Sol Ring, I think that's a better move. But personally, I'd go as far as Sol Ring too, because like the game doesn't need that. Like it's like it doesn't.
I think I would too, honestly. Even though I just said that, just because like. Kind of for the same reason. It's like, well, everyone has it, so who cares? So for the same reason. If it's banned, like who cares, you know? Because everyone that means now no one has it, so it's the same.
Yeah, and
it's equal to me. That's why whenever people talk about banning it, I'm never like, I'm like, I don't care. Ban it if you want. Who cares?
Yeah, like I also feel like that's like the more and more time goes by, the more decks we brew. We're at 200 episodes. We've brewed. Lots of decks.
More because more than 200 because we used to do 2 per episode. We did that for a long time.
Yeah. So like we've brewed a number of decks, and honestly, like I kind of have shortcutted my basic land package. We've always been a budget podcast at heart. So by the time like I automatically know my lands and a handful of my mana rocks, I'll make some adjustments if the deck's synergy with the commander matters for it. But we don't make 100 card decks. We like make, I don't know,
30 or
30 or 40 card decks, because like you got to have a wrath or two, so it's
Yeah.
always going to be the same couple. So like just the less cards that are like universally automatic, I think the better it is for brewing. Even restriction breeds creativity.
Wait, what am I saying? I'm saying 30 something because I make 30 something lands. It's the other
Oh,
way
right,
around. You
right,
make like
yeah.
60 card decks or whatever.
Something like that.
At any rate, yeah, you know what? That just shows you how how long it's been since I've been on the show and actually brewed a deck. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Is there? There's nothing in Commander the format right now that is upsetting you as far as like fairness in that goes. Is there? And
No,
and maybe not even maybe not even banning wise, just like anything in at all.
I guess my only no, I think it's great, and I think it's more important than ever before to communicate with your play group and find out how powerful your decks are and get on the same page. The level of power difference has grown massively since we started. And I'm talking power level to price, right? Like when we started, so there were so like it was so easy to brew a $50 deck. It was so easy. We could just pack it with great cards that are 50 cents here, 50 cents there, a quarter here, a quarter there. That's why we started talking about gumballs. But over time, like, what's Wayfarer's Bauble now? Isn't Wayfarer's Bauble like $4,
Oh, yeah,
something like
man.
that?
Wayfarer's
Like,
Bauble, and that is that apparently is the Commander Quarters effect, which is like if you like Commander's Brew, like we're brewing decks for $50. Commander Quarters is brewing decks for 25.
yeah,
And it's
and
like
one of the I
why
love
did
that show.
spike? Me too, but like why did that spike that? Like we all knew that card was decent. We all knew that card is it goes in, decks that don't ramp well. I'm that one to me was baffling when that one started spiking.
I think that so if we're gonna label the Commander Quarters effect, I think one thing that Mitch has done very well is just said how useful 2 mana rocks are. Like the signets are always great.
Of course, yeah.
So like Fell Warstone is now up above $1, right?
That's one that always baffled me as to why it's wasn't a little more. I mean, I guess it's like not that far off from a signet, but that's an auto include in every deck.
Yeah,
basically.
and I guess that's how that I'll tie that back to the Sol Ring issue too. Like all these cards become quote unquote auto includes, and if you're gonna put a roster of 6 cards as auto includes, just the color types, right? Like Felrasarn's an auto include in all the decks because it's a 2 mana ramp artifact that basically gets you any color because it's multiplayer. So yeah, I get why that's going more expensive. I get why Wayfarer's Bubble, but again, that scale is just making the average deck cost so much more. Like when all these cards go from gumballs to $1.25, $1.25 is not a ton of money. I can drop $1.25 on a card, but when that becomes the bulk of my deck's utility is $1.25, $1.25, $1.25. That's like $100 deck. Like it's hard to get it under $100 and still have these useful cards unless you either sacrifice the competitiveness by going with slower mana rocks, worse ramp, more expensive removal, or you just don't have the cool flashy part that makes your deck your deck. And if
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and if we ban Sol Ring, then we're all back to the same place, right? If we all so this is my original point was communicate with your group. Is all like if you're playing with a couple people who have tuned mana bases and tuned 2 mana ramps and all that stuff, but you're still playing 3 mana rocks and slower stuff, have that conversation, get on the same page somehow.
So this is a sort of related, but like we built a lot of decks for $50.
Yes.
At the time they came out, they almost. I would wager that every single one of them has increased in price. That's just the way Magic cards generally go. And we always, we tried to make them as competitive as possible. That's part of the fun of it, right? Make them as good as you can. That's the whole thing. We're trying to make good decks here. So, Mitch is over making $25 decks. We still try and brew on as close to a budget, just not quite as defined a one anymore. How do you find the competitiveness of budget Commander? nowadays, right now, as to maybe versus when we first started playing?
Oh boy, it's tough. I think.
Because I'll tell you what I think.
Yes, please.
I think that budget decks are more competitive than they used to be. And I think that at the same time, it's harder to build budget decks, which is weird. Maybe not harder, but like it's different. So I think they're better than they used to be because there are simply more cards available. So when we started the show, the most recent set was,
I think Origins was about to come out.
Yeah, it was about to come out. So Magic Origins that's kind of interesting. It's the origin of our show too.
Ooh.
That was like episode 2 or 3, I think. So obviously there's been however many sets since then. So we've got however many cards since then to brew with. And yes, prices go up and prices, change and stuff like that. But just the simple fact that we have even more cards to build with means that there are more cards at 25 cents, at 50 cents. You're seeing more, like, for example, just today before we started recording, we were talking about the all changeling deck, right? The changeling tribal deck. And it's like, well, that deck just didn't exist up until Modern Horizons came out, and now we'll see. Like, spoiler alert, we're going to try and make that a deck. I'm sure some people already have, but like, yeah, like that's just a brand new deck that just came out for us, and it's probably not that expensive because those cards aren't that good. So I think that there's just more available to us, and therefore it's a little easier to make them competitive at the same time, because those competitive decks are probably still running a lot of the same stuff they were when we started. Like, they're running mana crypts, and they're running, Rhystic Study, and all the old Commander staples, all the old cards that some of them have been upgraded, but there's still a lot of them that are sticking around. Whereas we're able to make decks that still hang with them, but with just sort of newer cards and stuff like that.
Andy, you gave me a brainstorm of an idea here.
Mm-hmm.
What if what if Commander as we know it becomes Legacy Commander, and there is a new format called Modern Commander,
okay,
which it just basically just cuts off the back end of the catalog, right? Anything that's been printed in a Commander set, that's cool. Anything since, I guess, what is it?
Same cutoff as Modern?
8th edition or whenever it was. Yeah. So
yeah.
then like, I mean, yes, we still have Cyclonic Rift, and we will still have Sol Ring, but we won't have $175 Grim Monolith or like a couple $100 Mana. Like, those are out. Expeditions don't count, right? But like Rhystic Study would be out because that's too old. Like, but Modern Horizons, we can say that's in, and that's fair to do. And I think that would there's enough cards. Like it would be no trouble making a cool deck around that.
Yeah, I mean, part of the thing that everyone loves about Commander is that you get to play with those cards, though, and the power level is tempered in that you can only include one of each of them, and the vintage stuff, the really powerful vintage stuff, is banned. Like, obviously the Black Lotus and all that stuff. Although I do agree with the argument that if the Power 9 were legal, most of it is fine in Commander. Like, the Moxen are not a big deal in Commander, right?
Yeah,
because of the 100 card nature of it. But at any rate, yeah, I don't know if Modern Commander, I mean, it just cuts off a few things that you don't really
just
see
a brainstorm.
Anyways. It's interesting.
We would
thought exercise.
We would lose the ability to dig back through the depths of Magic and find a gem for a nickel.
That's what I mean.
The problem is those gems get found and the community gobbles them up, and those gems are not a nickel. They don't stay a nickel for very long.
But they at least are for a little bit. And there was a while before Reconnaissance hit $9.
It's true.
We had our shot with it, and we had our chance with it. And we grabbed a few, and we told our listeners to grab a few, and hopefully they did, and hopefully now we got some, and yeah, that's the ongoing struggle we have with this game in general as players is the secondary market, the price that a lot of these cards hit. It's one of the reasons I've been playing more Arena. I mean, that and the fact that I have a kid and I can't get together for Commander Night really recently. But when I can spare a few minutes here and there, I'll jump on Arena and play. But like Arena really does take that out of it. You know,
Oh, it's true. Being able to draft on Arena too.
Being able
like,
to draft on Arena, being able to like for the first time ever being able to like put a legit real standard deck together and play it against people competitively. It's more fun than I thought. You know, because every other time I ever tried to do that, which is like I didn't really try very hard, I would always build like some janky garbage deck that just gets squashed, and you're just like, this sucks. You know, like this isn't fun. It's not like Commander where you can put a janky garbage deck together in Commander and still get to play with it because it's multiplayer, right? And maybe your other friends have that power level low too, and that's where we came from. But it's something where like I don't know if I'm concerned for the future of Magic for that, but because that might be a good thing. But like, you know, digitally, like you can do so much more than you can in paper for way less, if not nothing. I've put in very little money. I bought the welcome package, that like $5 thing for Arena.
Yeah,
and then
me too.
I think I might have put in like a $10 worth of gems when I wanted to stream once. You know what I mean? And that's it. I haven't put money into it since, and I'm willing to, like, you know, pay for Magic for this long. Like I'd pay $10 for a draft just like anyone else, but I haven't had to. Like, luckily, it's been great.
It's great. It's great. Well, we've been talking about finance a lot. Do you want to? There was a segment we discussed doing is like some of our cards. We're not going to officially number the list, but we've got some ideas for cards that Wizards must print.
Yes. This is good. People love this stuff.
The most important cards for Wizards to print, and this is a definitive list.
You know us. We make definitive lists, okay?
Yes.
They're the list. There is no challenging them. Do not at us, as they say.
Do not at us, except to say you are right.
Except to say that list was definitive.
Yes, that's an acceptable.
You may at us and say that.
Who's going first? Who wants to go first?
Okay, so you know what? I'm gonna say you go first.
Okay, so I'll go first. So Wizards, please print this card. Wild card pickup 4.
Please, Wizards.
We need, though it's been dominating Uno for too long, and it's about time Magic gets wild card pickup 4. We also deal with colors. You got blue, you got green, you got red. Guess what? It allows us to pick yellow for the first time ever. So Wizards, we need wild card pickup 4.
There's something, just a quick aside. There's something that I can't remember it now. There's something where like that card isn't exactly what people thought it was.
Oh,
what is it? Oh man. Anyways, I can't remember now. But there's a thing where like if you read the rules of Uno, the wildcard pickup 4, like everyone plays it wrong. And
really?
And when you find out what it is, you're like, oh yeah, I guess we all kind of just assume that. Anyways, doesn't matter. Let's get to number 9. Okay.
Oh, we're numbering this. Okay, number 9.
Oh, I thought it was 10.
Yeah. No, we got 10. We got 10.
Okay, we got 10.
No,
okay,
got
great.
10.
Okay, a card that needs a reprint. Okay, one of the all-time cards. We want to see it in Magic. Jack of Diamonds.
Jack of Diamonds.
Get the Jack of Diamonds in Magic. Make him a Planeswalker if you must, but it's the Jack of Diamonds.
Yeah, we get to discover what a letter in the power and toughness box means.
Right? I want to have a card in Magic that looks at me wherever I go.
Yeah.
Right?
How badass is it of a Magic card that's stabbing itself in the head with a sword?
Just looking like, I see you everywhere, and I'm stabbing myself in the head.
Yeah,
Can't have
it's already
a royal
red.
flush without a Jack of Diamonds.
It's already red. It's already in the colors.
It's already red.
It's already in the colors.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
take that, color pie.
Here's a no-brainer, Wizards.
Yeah.
Here's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Boardwalk.
Obviously.
The title deed to Boardwalk.
What an iconic card that we need in this game.
We need this reprinted. Can you imagine? It goes in any blue deck.
Every blue deck, I would say.
Every
it's a
blue
staple.
deck. It's a blue staple, I think.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. Let's go to number 7 on the list. $50 Amazon gift card.
Yep.
Please, Wizards. We
Yes.
need these. They're too expensive right now.
They're too expensive right now. I remember when a $50 Amazon gift card was $40.
Right? And now it's skyrocketed.
Yeah.
It's spiked. People are speculating on these cards hard.
Yeah.
And I don't have $50 to spend on this. So please, let's see a reprint of the $50 Amazon gift card. It's colorless. It goes in every deck.
Goes in every deck. Wizards, please. What number are we on? 6?
You're on 6 now, yeah.
6. A panda saying happy birthday.
We need these reprinted into Magic. Absolutely.
we need a birthday card of a panda
Please.
saying happy birthday.
100%. What's better? What's better on your birthday but a lovely card from your friends, right?
Like,
so what? Or family. So, like, how great would it be to get a card from Wizards of the Coast saying happy birthday in your pack of Magic cards?
And it's a panda. Like, I know that black and white have some of the best removal already.
Right?
Maybe they don't want to keep going. But a panda saying happy birthday? Come on, Wizards. Wizards, please.
Wizards, please.
Wizards, please.
Number 5 on the list. Coming in at number 5, hard with a bullet. Driver's license.
Oh, this one.
Essential for people's lives.
Yes.
Please
essential.
reprint this card.
Yes, please. Please.
Give us this card. We need this card. I know. Listen, the art might be difficult, but like figure it out somehow and get this card back in the player's hands where it belongs.
Yeah. I mean, like new players need access to driver's license. Mm-hmm. How are you going to get to FNM?
How do we get anywhere?
How do we get anywhere?
The rural players, like the people in the cities, need it a bit less, perhaps. But the people, if they're out, they're on their towns and they got to drive far to get to their LGS. Please, it just becomes less. It's more scarce for those players. So let's get more of them going here.
Wizards, please. Wizards, please. Okay, is it number 4? Are we on number 4?
Yeah.
I've lost count of the numbers.
You are on number 4. Yeah.
Number 4. Buy 6 subs, get the 7th sub for free.
Oh my God, a free sub card, please.
Please, Wizards, please.
Yes, Wizards, please.
You got to eat while you're playing.
Absolutely, you must.
You can't play and not eat. So like, how about, buy 6 subs, get a 7th free.
I know that Subway themselves have banned the sub card. They have abandoned that.
Yeah.
But it would be great to see a reprint into Magic. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they just brought back Hex or Protection from, so we can bring back the free sub card.
Yeah. Okay. Number 3 on the list, Nexus Card.
Oh, the Nexus Card.
Now, those of you who don't live near a border or don't travel very often, you might not know about the Nexus Card. This is an extremely rare card. It's extremely difficult to get. But it is an essential card. It allows you to travel freely across the border, like in like the special Nexus line. So it's faster. You get like pre-approval and stuff like that. But like not a lot of players have these cards. So let's get them into the hands of players. Let's get the value back down to where it's affordable. The Nexus card is an essential card.
Yeah. Did you know that I just recently applied for one?
Yes, I did. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, it allows you to skip the big line at the airport and go straight through. Saving that much time seems worth it.
It's another $50 card.
Yeah, that's a $50 card. That is a $50 card.
Yeah, it's $50.
Yeah, it's got to come down.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a controversial one. The apples to apples card. Humility.
Oh.
Not humility that's already in Magic. That's on the reserve list. We know we're not getting that again.
Can't get that one again.
The humility from apples to apples.
So
it's a green card.
It's the green one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a green one. It's humility. Like, I know you can't give us the white humility. Give us green humility from apples to apples. Wizards, please.
Wizards, please. Wizards,
Wizards,
please. What am I on here?
Are we on number 1?
Is this number 1?
This might be number 1.
Yeah, I think it is.
Do you have this one, or do you need me to take it?
I have one. Yeah. Do you?
Okay, then take it.
Okay. The number 1. It's definitive. Just remember.
This is definitive.
Everything here is definitive. Please, Wizards, reprint ATM card. What's more essential in every deck than an ATM card? What card do you use the most? ATM card.
Yeah.
If you need another one. Another one's essential.
I would argue that is the first card every deck needs.
You need to start with it. Yes.
You put your deck together and you need to get those cards. You start with ATM card.
Debit card, also known as we need our bank cards back. Thank you.
Yeah. And we have one honorable mention. It didn't make the list, but we would all be happy to see scratch and sniff of a marshmallow card. Scratch and sniff marshmallow. Wizards, please.
Yeah, Wizards, please. And another one that didn't make it is rip and peel lottery card. You rip apart and you see the cherries and lemons and stuff.
Yes. One other honorable mention. I know we got a lot of honorable mentions.
Yeah, it's a couple.
The card that the Biore nose strip is stuck to when you peel it off and put it on your nose to exfoliate.
Yeah.
The Biore nose strip card.
See, I'm not even really, I'm not really familiar with that card, but certainly. And also one more from the Star Wars CCG, Darth Vader. I'd love to see Darth Vader make an appearance in Magic. It'd be great.
Yes.
A lot of fun there. The definitive list.
Definitive.
Absolutely
Please.
Definitive.
Yeah, right, Wizard. I know Wizards can't take requests like that, but we all know. Please. Wizards, please.
Wizards, please.
Hashtag
WZZRDS. PLZ.
Wizards WZRZ
Wizards, please.
Yeah,
okay. we'll tweet out that hashtag. Hopefully everyone will use it forever.
Yes.
Wizards, please. What else? What else is happening?
Oh boy.
Okay. So I know what we want to do here. Looking forward. We've looked back a bit here now.
Oh yeah.
And we've looked at the present and looking forward. Obviously, we're continuing to make the show. We love it very much. It's a pleasure to do it and bring it to you. And it's resulted in even branching off and doing different Commander stuff. We Battle of the Brews still rolling on the YouTube channel currently. Still will continue to roll as well. CB vlogs are a thing that we're doing. Sean, what do you think of the future of Commander's Brew? Next 200 episodes. Is there anything you think might be good? And I just want to let people know that are listening. We haven't previously talked about anything like this. This actually part of our plan for this episode was to get on here and kind of spitball and talk about the show in a real way. Like we would as if we were having kind of a meeting a little bit. But to just get it out and talk about it in front of people, because I actually think it's a great idea when you mentioned that, Sean, because having the listeners who've been around for a long time and even new listeners, if this is your first episode, I think it's just good to kind of get everybody in on the conversation a bit. And so anyways, is there anything that you would like to see, or is there any ideas you've had about anything else to do or anything like that?
Definitely. I know that so one thing I've learned as a content creator, as someone who makes a podcast, because we've already outgrown the podcast as our thing. Sometimes I feel like Commander's Brew is who we are, but I think it's sometimes not accurate to just say it's a podcast, because some of it's on YouTube, right? We got the vlogs. Battle of the Brews is not a podcast. That's a gameplay series. And we've dabbled in Brews News comedy sketches in the past as well. So we've got a lot of stuff on our plate that we've kind of dabbled in. And I feel, some of the listeners may have noticed that we don't do a lot of Brews News these days because we're putting our time and energy towards Battle of the Brews, right? We're trying to focus in and get some other stuff. So, I see kind of just we're not strangers to trying new ideas, right? I don't know what they're going to be, but I'm sure we'll have some other ideas coming out and we'll try those and we'll bring those to you. We'll see which ones are sticky and which ones people can't get enough of, and which ones are just like, well, this is takes 100 million hours to produce and no one liked
Yeah.
it, so that's not a thing to do again. So,
Yeah.
like I wouldn't. So I know that we had Johnny Crass on recently, and it was excellent to have him talk us through a Commander Cube. I feel very inspired, and I hope to make the time to finally put a Commander Cube together. And who knows, maybe we'll be able to like put a couple drafts of that on camera somehow and bring that to you.
I'd love to do an episode of Battle of Brews where we draft the cube.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Got to make that cube first.
Yeah, that's step one. And like I don't even know what like other things we could conceive of, right? I mean, we got a little bit of growing to do. I think like, as we grow, we'll definitely be able to do more things and try out new ideas.
Yeah, well, so that's something I guess I've been thinking about recently is like we've expanded the reach of the show, and we are we weren't on YouTube at first, and now we are, and
True.
it's like really like big focus. We're recording all these in video styles and splitting up the show, recording specifically for it. So for anyone who doesn't know, we record the audio show, and then in that we will have the CB vlog. It's all part of the same audio show, but then we split it up for YouTube just because it's like shorter bites, kind of better for the video, for the way people consume YouTube, right? So we make the CB vlog into its own thing, which is like the topic discussion from the audio episode, and then we'll record the whole like the deck tech separately for YouTube completely, because we don't have to explain all the cards, read all the cards, because obviously you're watching YouTube, you can see them. This is different. This is the same show, both audio and video, if you're watching or listening, because we're not just talking about cards here. But that's normally how we do things, and I did forget what I was going to say, but I just got into explaining how we make the show. What were you saying before?
Well, but just trying out new ideas and seeing how how things evolve and change.
Right. So I was saying like I was thinking like it's all about finding time for us too, right? Like that's So in doing that, like that creates a lot more work than just recording a audio episode and releasing it, in audio and then putting the same show up on video. It's a better way to do it. I think it makes everything look and sound better, but it takes more time. So it's and that's the thing that I want to grow the channel. I want to grow our YouTube channel. I want to grow our subscribers. I want to grow the people that are listening to the audio show. So if you're like, and we haven't really made a hard push to do that. We haven't really, because we're focused on the content, right? We just want to make sure the content's really good, and then hopefully the people will come. And like, don't get me wrong, our numbers have been going up, right? We're
steadily. I think I am very proud of our listenership and our numbers. And like maybe we haven't been the fastest growing channel out there, but I think that like we've got some of the most loyal listeners. But like the people who like subscribe and listen and download our thing, I truly do, based on the feedback I hear, they really get a kick out of it, and that feels good.
Yeah, it is good. And obviously we want to continue to do that because we want to get up there and get to, crack that like 10,000, ceiling, right? So like, if you're listening to this and you think that that's we always get the comment all the time of like, how did more people not like know about this show, right? How did more people not know about this? If you feel that way, give us a retweet, give us a share on YouTube once in a while, without trying to just make this simply about like pandering. Please listen to us. It's really helpful, and like a lot of people are kind of always asking like, how can we help the show? And that is the easiest way to do it. It's you don't have to like becoming a patron is its own thing, and like it's obviously like the biggest way to help is to like donate financially. But if like just hitting retweet on one of our where we tweet out the new episode. Like that just helps. The visibility to the community at large is like super helpful. So anyways, I honestly think everyone's been really good about that, and everyone's like everyone wants to help so much. So that's where we are today, and it's big thanks to the people who have helped sort of along the way there.
BT. Big thanks.
What is there anything like? So I was thinking like, because I've been playing other formats, I'm like, I've got a lot to say about other formats, kind of, right? I'm not thinking anything wild like let's start another podcast where all we do is talk about limited or standard or something. But there's that stuff is still rolling around in my head, so I'm just like wondering if there's not something there about that. I don't know. This is Magic is such a broad. It's just a game with so many different facets. It's just so I always find
so many different facets
like fascinating once you get into one and you learn about it. How like I've been listening to a couple of like different standard podcasts now and just like listening to their takes on stuff.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like, oh, neat. There's a whole world there that I never really got into before.
Well, I'll use this opportunity to shout out our fellow Wizards Tower sponsored podcast, the Disorganized Wizards Club, DWC.
Yeah.
I honestly, like, I'm not just saying this because like we're sort of like internet cousins, but like their take on standard, they're brilliant. And they always figure stuff out like before everybody's kind of talking about it. I always feel like I hear it there first. Like people just mentioning how like, oh, this is a big standard move and here's how. And they have a healthy dose of modern and a little bit of legacy talk as well. They play like, and sometimes limited comes up, but it's mostly standard and modern.
I find it hard to find podcasts that are just about standard. Because that's what I was looking for a while. I was looking for just... Anyways, not to get too into other formats on this, our 200th episode of our Commander podcast. But I managed to find some. And Disorganized Wizards was one of the ones that mostly focused on standard. So it's really good for that.
Yeah.
Anything else before we get out of here? Is there any other topics you wanted to touch on?
Any other topics?
It was nice to sort of have our own little Commander summit here, where we talked about like bannings and the state of the format and all that kind of stuff. I do think the state of the format is quite good.
Yes. I mean,
there's not many, if any, changes I'd make to it at this point.
Yeah, like I know I was kind of ranting about prices of things but like I gotta say, Wizards is continuously print. There isn't a set that goes by where there isn't at least 5 or 6 cool new commanders in it. And like 3 or 4 cards of every color that I'm like, oh, that goes good. I can think of a bunch of decks these cards go in. There was a time when we would do a set review and be like, well, there's really 1 green card that is worth talking about in Commander, and there's 1 red card, and there's really only a couple of legendaries I'd care to build a deck around.
Yeah, but, like, that's true. Yeah.
That is not the case. Yeah. And it hasn't been for a little while.
No, it's true. It seems like even in at Modern Horizons, there's a ton of good Commander cards in there. And
man, and the M20 is exposed to so many cool new commanders, and like our preview card was like a Golgari staple.
Yeah, that's one thing I'd like to. I don't want to seem ungrateful, because I'm so grateful that Wizards does let us preview cards. It's honestly like very nice. It's very, very cool. But I'm like, ooh, when are we gonna get a commander? You know what I mean? When are we gonna get a multicolored legendary? What's going on? When are we gonna get that? We're gonna get that card. So I don't know. Tweet at Blake Rasmussen and tell him to give us a multicolored commander next time. Because I see like sometimes I see like Megan and Maria, and they get to talk about like a big flashy like legendary creature from the set, and I'm like, I get it. Don't get me wrong, I understand.
They're big time.
Very big podcast and everything. But like we're Commander guys. We're right in there. We're like right in the mix with the Commander guys, right? Like Command Zone, Commander in, us, like it was, we're always talking to each other, always hanging out. So it'd be nice for us to get a legit commander.
So here's
coming
something
up.
for the future.
Okay.
In another 200 episodes, that's miles away.
Yeah.
But for episode 400, one of the goals I would like to personally set for myself and for the show is like, I want to kind of like, like I've always felt we were kind of like a medium sized kind of thing going on. I want to grow enough that that we're rolling with the big boys, so we're going to like magic fests and like hosting events of our own and like putting together cool projects and like, maybe episode 400 we'll record that live from like our own event at like Magic Fest of Las Vegas or something like that.
Yeah, I can't tell you how much I've been thinking about making a Commander event, like, like a legit full event that's all just Commander stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how that works. I think it's a
like
lot
Commander
of work.
Fest.
Commander Fest. Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Because just seeing how many of us travel to places like GPLA this past March and GP Vegas, obviously, like there's a lot of us, and I'm talking about like casual Commander players, I'm talking about competitive Commander players, I'm talking about the whole gamut, right? All the content creators, all the cosplayers, even the pros who play, right? Like we sat down and I played a game with Randy
I don't know who you mean.
Brutal, that I can't remember his name right now. Whatever. Anyways, pro player, guy who does commentary sometimes. Anyways,
Randy Bueller.
Thank you, Sean.
Okay.
Randy Bueller. I knew it was a B.
Okay.
Anyways, it's because I haven't watched the Vintage Super League or the Super Leagues in a while, so I can't remember his name. Anyways, Randy Bueller sat down. It was crazy. Get to play with this guy. Hall of Fame pro player. So I think I think it would be so amazing, and we talked about it very briefly with some pals at LA, just because of the whole debacle of not having a place to play at the Magic Fests, right? Like, so, like, it's a place for like a card store to step up and do something like that. I feel like a big sponsor where they could like make it work, but maybe it's up to us to spark it.
War the Spark.
Maybe. Yeah, exactly. War of the Spark. And I mean, us being in Canada, like if we had it in Toronto, I feel like it might make it a little harder for people. But if we did it in the same place as something, it might be the move. Anyways, maybe something we'll talk about for the future.
Interesting.
I think it's legit. I think it's a legit move.
Yeah.
Just a matter of do we want to put the work in? Because it would be a lot of work.
Yeah, but you know what? The things that are worth it take work.
Yeah, agreed. Well, hey, maybe look out for Commander Fest.
Yeah, maybe. That would be exciting.
I'm not saying no. I've been thinking about it recently, like, in thinking of just like, what's the next step for this show? What's the next step for this sort of brand that we have here,
Yeah.
It's you don't want to get ahead of yourself or anything, but it is important to be looking to the future. So
cool.
It'd be good.
To infinity and beyond.
Yeah, exactly.
As an old pal once said.
An old friend, Tim Allen.
He also said, more power, arf, arf, arf.
Arf, arf, arf. Okay. That's Tim Allen from the Santa Claus. This has been fun. This has been great. I never know what to do for these big like landmark episodes. So this was, I think this was good though. This felt like kind of fun, like a little bit more of a candid, look behind the scenes a little bit, but also, get to talk about some Commander stuff.
And plenty of laughs. I think that's what we do best is giggle. So
yeah, a couple of good laughs. That roast is going to go down in history, I think.
Oh boy,
the prank you tried to play on me, forget about it.
Couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it.
You're airtight.
Well, it's pretty funny how that worked out. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there you go. I think that's kind of it. Thanks for listening to this and the previous 200 episodes, if you've been around for that. or however many you've listened to. We really appreciate you. Consider our Patreon, patreon.com/commandersbrew, if you want to help the show out. Get in on, Discord discussions, hangouts, stuff like that. Consider also, though, just helping spread the word. A little retweet here and there, a little share here and there. That also helps big time. But just listening is the real key. So thanks so much for being here for that.
Thank you.
Thanks to Sean.
Thanks to Andy, too.
My co-host for 200 episodes and being the best.
Yeah, how crazy would it be to just bounce these ideas off of nothing?
And just do it all yourself?
Couldn't do it without you.
Yeah, exactly. Quite literally. Wouldn't be the same. So thanks everyone involved in this. Also, thanks to all of our past hosts for getting us here and maybe getting us past here, technically speaking. It's been great. But here we go. Onward and upward.
See you at 400.
See you next week at 400.
Can you imagine? We just, every episode from now on is next episode 300. Following episode 400. And then we get to like the real episode 400 is episode 400,000.
Just mess up the numbering convention completely.
There's no standards there. No one can stop you.
I love how on YouTube it's like none of it matters anyways, so who cares?
Yeah.
No one's looking at the numbers of the show on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Really fun. Really good time. We'll see everyone next week for episode 400. Bye.
Big thanks to all our patrons who make these episodes possible.
Yeah, and if you want to check out more comedy videos, check out our Brews News playlist.
Make sure you follow us on Twitch TV to see when we play live.
If you want to chat with us, head over to Twitter. We're at Commanders Brew.
And please hit subscribe to ding the bell and find out when we got new stuff coming out.
See you next time.
Bye.